Just days after the withdrawal of a petition to recall Colorado State Senator Brittany Pettersen due to an error on the initial recall statement, the Colorado Secretary of State's office approved a new petition this week, as well as one against Senator Pete Lee of Colorado Springs. Ed, I have often said that my life can be explained either by an SNL skit or a Warner Brothers cartoon, and in this case I have one. There's a Warner Brothers cartoon called Wild Wild World, where basically they do a Tex Avery style of they found a documentary from way back when the cavemen were living with dinosaurs. And you see how cavemen were living. And throughout the cartoon there's these group of cavemen hunters. They're going to decide they're going to hunt down a dinosaur, and they come up to a big dinosaur and they throw rocks at it and arrows and everything else, and the dinosaur brushes them away. And a few minutes later in the cartoon they come back and they go to another dinosaur and he stomps them and they go to another one. It feels like I am watching this cartoon over and over again by saying, here's another, we're going to recall this politician. Yes, she won by 18 points and the recall effort is by the person that she beat by 16 or 17 points, but we're still going to try it. And then they're going to go off to the next person. I could be crazy, would not be the first time accused of so. What do you think about when you see yet two more recall efforts come out this week? Okay, so I'm gonna step aside from the issue of whether or not recalls should even be used at this point, because I know my colleagues are going to talk about that. I want to go back to 2013 when there were two successful recalls of John Morse and Angela Harone, and what made them successful? Well, there was a hot button issue that people did not expect those leaders to be voting on the way they did, and that was gun control. And they went into two districts that were either swing or Democratic leaning, but districts where they knew gun control, despite that status, was very unpopular in El Paso County and in Pueblo. So that's what you have to look at here. What were the hot button issues that were going to make people pull someone out of office this year? Well, maybe it's the oil and gas regulations. Maybe it's sex ed regulations. I don't think so. I think oil and gas is probably the hottest one here. So what would you need? You need to go into a district where people are going to be unusually pro-oil and gas despite electing a Democrat. They had that opportunity with Rochelle Galindo up in Greeley, and I think she would actually probably face a really tough test maintaining that seat. But in the face of potential recall and a police investigation into her treatment of campaign staffers, she resigned. Now it feels like they're looking for other targets. I'm not sure Jefferson County is up in arms about oil and gas regulations because oil and gas development isn't going on in Jefferson County, and I don't think they feel the impact that other areas might of these regulations. So I'm not sure that Brittany Pettersen is the best example here. Now maybe Pete Lee is the best example. Pete Lee actually holds the seat that John Morse was sitting in when he got thrown out of office. But this is an interesting case too, where Republicans should be careful on this one, or the people behind it, because Pete Lee is essentially the guy who killed the Paid Family and Leave Act this year by having too many questions on it, and is actually turned out to be kind of a Republican ally, or at least not an ally, but someone who is willing to step in and question his own party on business issues. And now they may be losing the goodwill they could have in crossing the aisle with him by trying to go after him. So to answer your question in a very long way, I'm not sure why these two are being targeted. I'm not sure these are the best targets. Megan, how many of these efforts need to fail before it is no longer considered a strategic move?
I think they're going to keep trying to do this until there's enough failure rate that they say it's not worth our time and not worth our effort. So people need to do their homework now so that when they're approached at the grocery store, they can decline to sign and do so knowledgeably, right? That they're not caught off guard and they just sign the petition because, well, it sounds reasonable. If you're out here, they must have done something really bad. In fact, these individuals have not done anything nefarious or untoward that would warrant their recall in a traditional sense, that they have violated the trust of the public. You know, they took progressive Democratic votes on issues that they said during the election they would take progressive Democratic votes on. And so I think that we need to shut these down now before they make it to the ballot and send a message that recall should be used rarely.
Patty, it seemed among the reasons that basically had to sum it up, it was this person should be recalled because they voted with fellow Democrats like a Democrat. I didn't see anything else there. Perhaps I'm missing something. What do you think?
It was shocking, wasn't it, to see that they had done what they were expected to do. And of course, we also have the recall effort against Jared Polis, which calls for a lot more signatures, but we'll have people out talking about it. This is not 2013. People are tired of this kind of fighting. I mean, you have enough time to just campaign for someone else for the next election. But right now, this is so counterproductive, and these are the wrong two people to target. we'll see maybe in the next session there could be some people who really go against what they promised during the campaign. But so far, these two aren't it.
David, Rocky Mountain Gun Owners is running the recall effort for Senator Lee in Colorado Springs. Is this less about a recall effort and more about raising money for Rocky Mountain Gun Owners?
Well, if you said Rocky Mountain Gun Owners, the answer to anything is always it's more about raising money. I'd agree with that the Brittany Pettersen recall seems completely hopeless. Lee may be a chance. I'm not so sure about that. And I'd agree. This is, I think it's a waste of time and energy on by a bunch of activists that could be better spent on projects with a higher possibility of success.